Just down the road a piece is a little town called Tallahassee, Florida. They got some pretty interesting folks over there, and one of them is a fellow named Donn Dughi. He's a photographer.
Donn Dughi loves to tell stories. Sometimes he uses words, but more often he uses pictures. Over the last 25 years, Donn has worked as a photojournalist for the UPI wire service. In that time, he's captured the essence of the moments important to Americans. His pictures have been published in almost every state and national newspaper, as well as Time, Life, and Newsweek magazines.
What I tried to do was get the story of the day, whatever the big story of the day was, and then try to come up with one or two good, strong feature pictures.
Donn's approach to his craft sets his work apart from many photographers. It's a style he developed early on. When he was initially hired by UPI, he was immediately sent to cover something with which he was totally unfamiliar, spring baseball.
I said, what do I do? And they said, go cover spring training. And so I said, okay. And I went down to that and had no idea where the teams were, who these people were, you know. And the way that they did it at the time, the two AP guys that were there would set up pictures of if somebody had hit 40 home runs like Johnny Bench, they'd write a 40 on his bat and have him hold the bat like this, and he'd stand there and smile. And I thought, that looks dumb. So I just started hanging around the camps and acting like it was a legitimate news story and waiting until somebody did something funny or interesting, and I started doing it that way.
He'd cover the pregame, the game itself, and the postgame as a news event, and because he went with that different approach, he got really different pictures than they were used to seeing.
Those pictures proved popular with readers, and pretty soon other photographers were mimicking his style.
Donn taught me to go where no one else is at. You know, like all the photographers over here shooting there, he'd walk around to the side and say, well, let's see if I can get a different angle here. And that's paid off for him. I remember a George Wallace shot he got standing on a box and all that. Just look around, look different, and try to put all the elements, try to tell a story with your picture, doing visually what the writers do in words.
In 1978, one of Dughi's pictures told the story that cost Coach Woody Hayes his job.
Lana Harris was shooting with me, and we had agreed. I told her that I'd like to stay on the sideline with Woody Hayes. I'd seen him all these years kicking people, kicking photographers, and pushing photographers, and punching photographers. And no one ever struck back at him and said, hey, you know, we're human beings too, you can't do that. So I told her I'm going to stay with Woody Hayes during this Gator Bowl game. It was Clemson and Ohio State. And Clemson was winning, and Ohio State was starting to drive, and they threw a pass. Clemson intercepted and ran in the end zone, and I didn't see the guy, but they understand the guy caught the pass, or intercepted the pass, waved the ball in front of Hayes' face, and he started swinging.
The following morning, his now famous picture showed up in almost every newspaper in the nation. That same morning, Coach Hayes was fired. If he's known in the world of sports as the guy who sunk Coach Hayes, his image around the Florida State Capitol building is much more benevolent. In fact, Dughi is so well liked by the politicians he covers that the Florida House of Representatives passed a resolution honoring him in 1988.
You get to be friends over the years with a lot of them, and the amazing thing is they don't think of you as a newsman or reporter. You're that nice guy who gets a picture in the paper, and it doesn't seem to matter what kind of picture it is. It's their picture in the paper, and they like it.
Did you ever take a picture, and as you were taking it, you thought, oh, God, I can't use this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a couple of them like that. I did one, I remember, of Elaine Gordon one time with her. She had the stretch pants on when they used to be pop. I guess it was the 60s when they did it, 70s. And she evidently had a problem with them, and she had her fist down in behind, and she had this huge lump at the back of the pants with her arm in there, and I shot the picture and thought, I can't use that. So I took it back to the office and wrote a caption as if I had transmitted it, and then took it back over the next day and left it on her desk, and then stood off in the corner and watched her reaction when she came up, because, you know, they had the TAP and your name on it and UPI and all this stuff. And the look on her face when she picked that thing up, and I saw her start looking around the chamber and come charging over to me. You know, wait, you didn't? And I said, no, I didn't, but I could have. You know, next time you get up and start berating the press on how nasty we are, just remember, I didn't send that picture. Fred Lippman with hair. Everybody points that out. Fred's had hair then. Yes, he did. Yeah.
Lest you should get the idea that he's somehow soft on legislators, just take a look at Don's most recent project. His unofficial 1992 calendar of the Florida legislature is a sampling of candid shots that rarely made the papers for a reason.
There's some funny stuff in there, and some of it's not real flattering. I imagine Elaine Gordon's not going to like the one of her too much. But for the most part, they take it in good humor, and it seems to be getting a good reaction from them and the lobbyists. We'll find out in January when the session starts if I'm still allowed in the chambers or not. It may be a problem.
As unlikely as that may sound, the possibility that Donn could be out of a job is quite real. In August of 1991, his employer, UPI, filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. Suddenly, at the age of 59, Donn Dughi finds himself in an unusual position.
Going to be 60 years old pretty soon, out of a job, signing up for, for unemployment.
Characteristically, none of that seems to really worry Donn. While he's doing a lot of freelance work, he still has more time to devote to his favorite pastime, writing. It's a hobby he'd like to parlay into a career.
The writing thing has always kind of been there. I've always kind of liked, especially like short stories. And I think maybe from writing these 3-line captions on pictures, I've learned to condense even tighter and stuff like that.
Whatever happens in Donn Dughi's life, one thing is certain. He'll look for the humor and turn it into a story.
I remember at the end of one session, they always said it's never over till the fat lady sings, and some lobbyist hired this stout opera singer on the final day to stand in the rotunda and sing, you know.